no experience with fitness or you have not done anything in a while, this is a great series that's going to teach you a lot about your body, how to move, awareness, and just progress you along the way of your fitness journey. So we're gonna get started with our flow series. So we're gonna be starting today with a 10-minute flow. We're gonna get into a little bit of a workout, and then we're gonna finish with another little flow series, okay? So we're gonna start with our neck rolls. So you're just gonna be standing up, and we're just gonna tuck our chin, and we're gonna be rolling our chin from shoulder to shoulder. We're gonna do about 30 seconds of this. You might hear some cracks in your neck. You can close your eyes if you want. Pretend you're on a beach. That's it. And we're just gonna be moving down the body, okay? So the next one we're gonna come into is our shoulders, and we're just gonna be rolling those forward. We're gonna start loosening up our joints. If we've been sitting a lot, we tend to stiffen up a little bit. So just gonna be moving our shoulders, really feeling what muscles are moving. That was a big one for me when I first started on my fitness journey. What muscles were doing what? Perfect, we're gonna go backwards. Try to get your shoulders all the way up to your ears if you can. That's it. About 15 more seconds on this one. And just watch, if you're getting some tension in your neck, you just wanna make sure that your chin is nice and packed. Okay, there's a lot of nerves and everything around your neck, so the more that we can keep the movement just in our shoulders. Okay, we're next gonna get into some nice big arm circles. So here you'd be noticing some differences, like I know for myself, I'm quite tight in my right shoulder. So we're just gonna be doing nice big arm circles here. Again, just checking in with that chin, making sure it's packed. We don't want any tension going into the neck. And then we're gonna reverse. Hearing lots of cracks and things opening up, which is great. You can start to feel your chest open up. Okay, most of us, we sit like this all day. So this can get quite tight, so opening it up. Perfect. And we're just gonna make our way down our body and loosen up each joint. So we're gonna get into hip circles. So I like to take a little bit of a wider stance here. You can start by sending your bum back and just all the way around. Again, if you've been sitting, your hips are probably quite tight, right? So we're just gonna be doing nice big circles. Hopefully we can start to make those circles a little bit bigger as we get a bit looser. And one of the things I always think about is that you don't need to go to the extreme straight away. You're just looking for little small incremental gains as you move through this. So one of the things we say in the gym all the time is your goal is to move 1% better and get 1% stronger with each workout that you do. Perfect. Now we're gonna go to our knees. So just hands on our knees, and we're gonna be doing circles to our knees. For myself, I've got a lot of clicking and clacking going on, okay? Which is totally fine. If there's any pain at all, you're just gonna go back to your hip circles. Okie dokie. And then from here, we're just gonna change directions, and I start to sort of like roll around on my feet and my ankles. I had an injury to my foot. My horse decided to step on it and crush it. So, hey, you, don't eat the floor. Come here. So I can't really feel like the whole side of my foot here. And that was one of the things that just learning when I came into fitness, that was something that I was able to learn about myself and how it influenced every single movement that I did. So now we're just gonna get into ankles. You can get your toe up. And again, we're just stretching. So yeah, I feel a whole bunch of tension just in the front there. And then we're gonna reverse directions. You can take your foot off the floor if you want, challenge your balance. Okay, and we'll get into the other side. Again, either on the floor or up in the air. That's it. Okay. Now we're gonna start using our hinges, okay? So I'm gonna get my feet nice and wide, okay? And all I'm gonna be doing is softening my knees and just hinging forward. And then what I want you to think about is pushing through your legs, squeezing your butt to come up, okay? So I'm not using my shoulders to come up and my back. I'm pushing through my legs. You can start to allow your back to round a little bit if it feels good. Okay. You can think about pulling your belly button to your spine just to support that back. There we go. Might get a little bit further. And again, continuing to press through the leg. What you'll find is because your feet are so far away from your brain, sometimes it's just hard to remember to push through your feet. So sometimes wiggling your toes helps, just keeps you aware. Okay. Next movement we're gonna get into is just a version of a squat, okay? What we're gonna be doing is nice wide legs. And from here, I'm gonna hinge my hip back. I'll just do this from the side so you can see. So I'm gonna hinge my hip back and then I'm just pushing off of my leg into the side of my other one and my knee is tracking over my toe, okay? And then I'm gonna push off this leg, boom, right over to this leg. As you start to loosen up, right? Because again, if you've been sitting, okay, sometimes your hips are very tight. So if this is where you're starting, boom, totally cool, right? Eventually after 30 seconds, we may be a little bit further. And again, that's all you're looking for. Those small incremental gains every time. And those will add up over the year, right? You can also, I like to sometimes put a hand down. You can stretch up through your thoracic and through your back. Again, if we're sitting a lot, all of that can get quite tight. Okay. Again, if you need some assistance, you can always find a table, okay? You can find a table that you can lean on, or I know my mom has a post in her house that she uses. So you can always use a post for your balance and that'll help keep your back nice and tight. That's it. Make sure that core is braced. Perfect. And then our final movement, we're gonna get down into a Spider-Man, okay? So with that movement, I'm gonna take a nice big step forward and then I'm just gonna drop straight down, okay? If this isn't in your wheelhouse, again, you can go back to that table, okay? And you can just have some support and you can just try to reach yourself down. And all we're doing is we're stretching out our hip flexors. Okay? If we have a little bit more flexibility, we can bring our hands to the ground. You doing it too? Okay. Stretching is good for everyone. Perfect. And then you can go into your downward dog to transition and bring your other foot up. Okay, or if we were using the bench, could just switch sides, using my table. Get away. Go lie down. Good job. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is now we're probably feeling a little bit more warm, things are getting a little loose. We're just gonna get into our first movement series. So I'm gonna take you through 3 exercises and we're gonna repeat this 3 times, okay? So the first one is high knees. So all that's happening is I'm keeping my core really tight. So think about the visualization I like to use is pretend there's a string attached to the back of your belly button and we're just pulling that string and we're bracing your core, okay? And then from here, all I'm gonna be doing is keeping this back nice and flat. I'm gonna move through my hip socket and just bring my knee up, okay? And then same thing on the other side. So you can start thinking of this like a sequence, okay? So before I move, I brace my core, then I move my leg, okay? Brace. And we're gonna do about a minute of these, okay? If this feels good, okay, we can always pop it up and put a little bit of movement into it where we're bouncing a little bit more, okay? If this does not feel good though, you're just gonna go back to this jam. Okay, again, just stretching out your hip flexors and learning to engage that core to brace it, okay? Next movement we're gonna get into, again, involves some bouncing, and it's our dot steps, okay? So I'm gonna think about 4 little points, and you're just gonna be forward and back. So my thing is that I tell everyone that comes into the gym is everyone should just have a starting point. So if we start with the basic, if that feels good, we're gonna come up onto our toes. We're gonna be nice and light, like we're a sneaky burglar. Okay, so core tight as I move, and I'm going forward and back. Very, very tight in my core as I move, okay? As opposed to being a big old giant, okay? So you're gonna be nice. If that feels good, we can then proceed into a jumping jack, okay? Heart rate's going up. You can hear I'm getting a little bit out of breath, okay? We're just gonna keep this up. Okay, things you can think about. How are your feet landing on the ground? Okay. Core nice and tight. Beautiful. Next movement we're gonna get into is a lunge or a squat. So in terms of learning how to squat, I find the best tool is to grab a chair or a bench. You're gonna get your feet slightly outside of your hips. And then what I'm gonna be thinking about is moving my hip back towards the bench and then allowing my knees to bend so I can sit, okay? You don't wanna sit on the bench, okay? We wanna engage our core, pretend the bench is on fire, just touch it. Just to get a baby bird. Okay, so core nice and tight. We're gonna roll through these. Okay, I've got pretty tight hip flexors. So for me, I can feel this pulling. So it's a nice, good stretch. Squats are such an amazing movement to practice because that means that you can use the toilet forever on your own, right? Goals. Perfect. Good, and we're gonna go back to those high knees, okay? So back to those high knees. And as you can see, I'm choosing to just do these ones so that I can catch my breath, get ready for my dot steps. Remember that while we're working out, you wanna make sure that you're always working within your range, okay? If you enjoy what you're doing, you're gonna do it more. Okay? A few more of these. Maybe I'll get my heart rate up a little bit, get my toes up. Perfect. And then we're gonna get into our dot steps. Again, thinking about my core, being a nice sneaky burglar, nice and quiet. Okay, my Achilles is firing, my calf is firing. Okay, I'm bouncing through my hinges. My core is nice and tight. Okay. And then from there, we're gonna get into our squats again, okay? So if you wanna try without your bench, you're more than welcome to. I always like having that kind of physical contact. And you know where you are. And again, sequencing, brace my core. And then I can rest here. Brace my core. Good. As you're coming up from your squat, you can think about ripping the floor apart like it's paper. Okay, so I've got some tension on the outsides of my legs and then a really nice butt squeeze at the top. Can't do all this work and not have cute butt, right? So squeeze our butt. It's such a big muscle. Perfect. Okay, you can already hear I'm getting out of breath, right? So we're gonna go back to those high knees. That's it. Whew. I'm gonna take my toque off soon. That's it, crew. Keep moving. See if you can pull it a little higher. Think about pulling your kneecap up. That's it. Just pull your kneecap up. That's it. Good work. We're almost there. Okay, and then those dot steps. Core nice and tight, super light. Okay, you can take your dot steps on the go. Put some fancy moves in there. What do you think, Ollie? Okay. Okay? That's the greatest part about movement is you can get creative. So let's say you have to go do dishes. You could do dishes, dot steps. Come back, do laundry, dot steps. There we go. And then we're gonna finish off with our squats. And I'm gonna take my bench away this time. Okay? Core is nice and tight. I'm gonna push my hip back. Down I go. So knees are tracking out over toes. Okay? And even if this is my range, perfect. Okay, remember, everyone starts somewhere, right? So as you get moving and as everything starts to lengthen out again, right? It's gonna start to feel good. It's kind of like, if you haven't been doing any fitness or movement, you can kind of think about like a car being put away for the winter, right? So if we start off nice and steady and slow, we're gonna make sure that we're protecting our body, putting bubble wrap on it, okay? So that we can continue on our fitness journey and hopefully stay injury-free while we do this, okay? Whew. So 3 rounds all done. That was good. I got my heart rate's up, it's good. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish off with a second flow. So very similar to our first one. And again, this is just, all of these movements are just to teach you about how your body works, and really just get you feeling your muscles, and starting to have a really good relationship with your body as you start your fitness journey, okay? So we're gonna go back to those squats, okay? So we're gonna do about 10 to 15 of these, okay? And I'm really working on my sequencing, so bracing, squeezing my feet out like the floor is paper, really feeling some tension on the outsides of my legs. Remember, your legs are these big, huge muscles, right? And really pushing into the floor. Beautiful, okay? Our next movement is we're gonna start to go down to the floor, okay? So we're gonna get into our thoracic. So a thoracic is just sort of a fancy word, okay, for this area of your back, okay? And if we sit like this, what happens is it's quite difficult, right, to open up because we've been like this and this is how our body's been formed. We sit TV at the computer. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get you to come down to your hands and your knees. And what you're gonna think about is you're gonna have one hand for balance and then your other hand's gonna come behind your head and we're gonna be reaching our elbow down towards our arm and then up, okay? When I first started doing this exercise, I actually found just putting my hand down and keeping my arm up was enough, okay? And then you can slowly start to open up and increase that rotation. But again, if you're feeling like this is enough, this is where you can hang out, okay? Another thing that you wanna think about is when my hand is on the ground, I wanna think about my wrist, my elbow, and my shoulder all being in a line so that I can stay stacked, okay? Hi. Because it's much easier for me and my skeleton if I stay stacked on my skeleton than, let's say, if my elbow was bent, okay, now my bicep has to start to work, right? And my shoulder. So if I can stay stacked, I'm gonna get a lot more out of that exercise. So think about pushing your hand down into the ground, core nice and tight. You eating my hair? And then from there, you can start to rotate, okay? If this is not feeling good at all, what we can do is we can take ourselves right down to the ground, okay? And then all you're gonna do is you can start to peel yourself open a little bit this way. Maybe you can start to just open your arms up, okay? Or another one we can do is obviously go back to our bench or our table, okay? And we can even start this way, okay? Just starting to really open up this area. Again, if we have been sitting like this, this is probably gonna feel quite tight, okay? And then we're just gonna be rotating on both sides. I would say about 10 reps on each side would be awesome, okay? From this, next we're gonna get into our cat-cows. So I'm gonna be on all fours, okay? If your knees are sore or anything like that, you can just get extra padding under there. And what I'm gonna be doing is manipulating my spine, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do is push up into my hands, and I'm gonna get a nice angry cat back, okay? And then from there, what I want you to think about is I'm pulling that belly button string and we're pulling it down and we're going into cow. So my pelvis is tilted, okay? And I can reach my throat up, and then I'm gonna tuck my chin and push up. And then I'm gonna pull my belly button down, lift my chin. Perfect. See if you can start in your pelvis and see if you can move vertebrae by vertebrae. Learning a lot about your spine and how it moves. Because your spine is super flexible, and it's our job during movement to make sure we stabilize that. Perfect. Nice, good push. Awesome. So our next movement we're gonna be getting into is our bird dog. So this is, again, a balancing pose on your hands and your knees. What we're gonna be doing, so starting point is, we're gonna be working in diagonals. So my right arm would be working with my left leg, and my left hand's working with my right leg. So all that I'm gonna start to do is, progression 1 would just be to lift my arm off the ground and come back, okay? Then what we can do is we can think about pulling our leg back. So we'll just do one at a time, engaging your core. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and move my right arm and my left leg together while I keep my core nice and tight. Challenging my balance. You can already see I'm shaking. That's it. And again, we wanna remember to stay stacked, right? Wrist, elbow, shoulder. Same at the back, knee and hip, okay? Moving through these. That's it. You can start to really think about your breathing. Nice big deep breaths in and out. Awesome. So our next movement is going to be an up dog to a down dog. So I'm gonna show you, again, sort of like a starting progression. So for our down dog, we're gonna get into all fours again. And all I want you to do is tuck your toes and think about lifting your hips up to the ceiling, okay? And then I'm gonna push back through my arms. So that's kind of one of the key points that I think some people miss when they're in their down dog is keep your knees bent as much as you can in the first place so that you can get your hip high and then push back. And then you can start to straighten, you can pedal, okay? Again, if we haven't done a lot with our shoulders, I remember when I first started doing down dog, I was like, I can't hold this because my shoulders were so tight. So even if you go into a little flow, okay, where you go from all fours and then you just lift your hips high, push back, and then come back to all fours. And that'll be a nice little flow for you, just to work that sequencing, right? So squeeze my core, push into my feet, hips go high, and then drive into my arms. Head goes back through the window, lovely little stretch, glide forward, drop back, okay? From there, you can start to think about pulling your heels to the ground one at a time. You would stretch all through your whole back body, which would feel lovely. You can shake your head from side to side, that feels good. Okay, you can bend your knees a ton, lift your hips a little higher, push through. Okay, so those are quite lovely. It's a nice little reset. And then we're gonna do, how are you. We're gonna do up dog, and then we're gonna be transitioning back into a child's pose, okay? So another little flow sequence, and we can start to really tap into your breathing. Nice big deep inhales and exhales. So from here, you can think about feet a little bit wider, okay? So you're in your down dog, drop your knees. You can go into your child's pose, reaching those arms forward. So child's pose consists of knees apart, feet together, okay? So we can send our hips back and stretch, or totally, if your shoulders are a bit sore, bring those knees in together and we can just lay ourselves down. Okay, giving our arms a break and just relaxing into a little bug pose. Okay, so 2 options. Again, knees apart, reaching out forward. Nice big deep breathing. Nice big deep inhales and exhales. Telling yourself, amazing job for tuning in, for moving your body. Okay, it's all about small, consistent wins that'll help you build, be consistent and stay successful throughout your journey, okay? The last piece we're gonna do is corpse pose. So I really, really like this because when you lay on the ground, all of the movement we just did, you're just gonna let it settle into your body and allow your body to absorb it.
When I first started my fitness journey, I didn't have a very good relationship with my body. I was always trying to beat it up and it wasn't doing enough for me. And what I've realized is that you and your body are on the same team. Right? Yes. So the more that you can take care of yourself and treat your body like a sacred temple, the more you're going to be able to do with it, the happier you'll be. Totally. So what we're going to do is we're just going to lay down, super simple, okay? And wherever you're comfortable, okay? I think it's rare that we take some time just to sit still with no devices, no TV, and just breathe nice and deep in and out. And I can already feel like my low back is tingling a little bit. I've got a little bit of some tightness there, so I can feel everything just sort of melting into the ground. What are you doing? Come lie down with me. Come lie down with me. Always just not interested in the lying down piece today. Good. So again, in this moment, you'll be thanking yourself for showing up, being grateful that you have a body that can move, taking in everything that we just went through. Perfect. And then we're going to come up into a seated position. You're going to sit down? You're going to sit down? There we go. Perfect. So thanks for joining us for Flow 1. Again, our feeling here at Odeon is we want fitness for absolutely everyone, and we feel like this is a really good program as a starting point for anyone who hasn't done anything at all, just to start you on a nice journey with your body, learning how to use it, and enjoying fitness. So tune in next time, and we'll see you soon.